couple of months. Okay. Prior to a couple of months ago, my memory of Norma was of the little lady who came to church every Sunday, usually wearing a different hat. And she had many hats, as you probably know. She would walk by us, give us a nod, and a little grin. And then she would take her seat right back there in a very prim and proper way. A couple of months ago, I heard from a mutual friend that Norma needed some help with her gardens. The weeds had gotten out of control, and this really bothered her. I offered to help. Norma was a little reluctant at first because she was unsure of me. She really didn't know me. But she eventually called me, the weeds went out, and I met with her the next day. When I arrived at her house, I saw that she had started without me. There she was, puttering around, trying to look busy, wearing, of course, one of those famous hats. No surprise there. She proceeded to give me a tour of her gardens, which I sensed was once a great source of pride for her. She knew the names of all the plants, wanted me to be very careful not to mistake them for weeds. She insisted on staying with me at all times, which was perfectly fine because I really didn't want to hurt or kill one of her plants. A short time went by, and while I was working, she began to talk to me. She started the conversation about her years in the garden. She really enjoyed her garden club. She enjoyed her friends. She loved them a lot. She also told me how competitive the contests were, and I didn't even know they had contests. That was my first inkling into Norma's personality. She was competitive, and she was proud. Eventually, she began telling me her life story. And she was kind of a puzzle. But as we talked, those puzzle pieces started falling into place. Over the next couple of weeks, I saw snapshots of a hard childhood, then leaving home and continuing her education. As you heard, her life story, she went into the Navy for several years, really, really loved the Navy. Then she went to work for a utility company. And she told me that she did that because she knew she would need a retirement, a pension. She believed even then that she would end up alone and need to be independent. The pension would be important for her survival, and a survivor she was. She told me about her bouts with cancer and her knee surgeries. The more I listened, the more amazed I was with this lady. I really look forward to our get-togethers. Eventually, we got to the more important stuff. Every day of our life is like a piece of a puzzle. We just keep adding pieces, and we hope to live long enough to see what we have become. We want to see what our puzzle ends up looking like. Norma was no different. She was a very spiritual person. She believed that because of her hard life and stubborn, independent nature, she still had obstacles to overcome. She still had pieces to add. In her mind, these obstacles, real or not, were keeping her from achieving total spirituality. Every Sunday, she listened to Reverend Sherry's sermons and really took them to heart. After one of those sermons, she told me she thought Reverend Sherry was talking directly to her. I laughed and said, "That is really funny. I thought she was talking to me." She smiled and gave me that sly little grin. I think you've all seen that sly little